So Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. The 49ers obviously contenders to be very interested in acquiring him. I'm going to talk about how much this could potentially cost the 49ers, the financial side of things, surprisingly inexpensive. But also there's another player from the Cleveland Browns who might be tied to all of this, whom the 49ers might be even more interested in than Myles Garrett. First off, we're in downtown Franklin, Tennessee. It's 70 degrees on February 3rd. You really have to like that. But first off, Joel Bitonio is a name with which you should become acclimated, because Joel Bitonio, the left guard, longtime left guard for the Cleveland Browns, according to Jonathan Jones, he's the NFL insider for CBS, he's not interested in playing for a team in a rebuild. And the Browns are definitely a team in a rebuild. Myles Garrett thinks so, and I think that Myles Garrett probably knows better than Cleveland's front office at this point. The front office says they're not going to trade him. That's obviously the stance they have to take. You can't let the value of an asset depreciate on the trade market right after he has requested a trade. But if Bitonio does not want to play for a rebuilding team, he, like Myles Garrett, only has 1 year left on his contract. And, well, Myles Garrett has 2, but both he and Myles Garrett have had their contracts restructured because the Browns have been desperate to get out of the salary cap hell that the worst contract in NFL history, the deal with Deshaun Watson, has created. I mean, the $230 million fully guaranteed for Deshaun Watson. We've never seen anything like it. That's the deal that the Cleveland Browns gave their quarterback. He's terrible, and now he's torn his Achilles twice. And because of the financial impact, they've had to restructure the contracts of Myles Garrett and Joel Bitonio and other players to fit under the cap. And that has meant that their cap hits have been pushed into the future through conversion of base salary into signing bonus. And the base salaries over the next 2 years for both Bitonio and for Myles Garrett are the veteran minimum. So for the 49ers to acquire Myles Garrett, or for any team to acquire Myles Garrett on his current contract, would cost only $6.3 million for 2025, and then $6.3 million in 2026. That's the veteran minimum base salary, $1.3 million, plus a roster bonus of $5 million that kicks in on the 4th day of the new league year. So from a cap perspective, that is affordable for San Francisco. If you look at the cap perspective of acquiring Joel Bitonio, that'd be affordable as well, because he too has seen his base salary renegotiated down to the veteran minimum because Cleveland is trying to preserve salary cap space. The 49ers have a natural opening that they need to fill at left guard. Bitonio is a couple years past his prime. His best scores were a few years ago, but in Kevin Stefanski's offense, he's had to run a lot of the same stuff that the 49ers have had to run. This is a guy who consistently averages over 1,000 snaps a season, so he is durable enough for the 49ers' needs. And again, you talk about line help. I think the 49ers need to start a lot of their reconstruction, their retooling this season around the trenches. I think that Joel Bitonio would definitely fit that mold. In the not so distant past, the 49ers acquired a star offensive lineman for the final year of his career. That was Alex Mack. He obviously was a free agent in 2021, but he helped the 49ers tremendously at that center position. They're going to be on the market for a center sooner rather than later. Even if Jake Brendel's the starter there this next year, they're going to need to pave the way for the future at center. But left guard, Aaron Banks, is scheduled to be a free agent immediately, and the 49ers are going to have to figure out something at that position. So the fact that Bitonio's future might be tied to the Browns rebuilding or not rebuilding, and the fact that Myles Garrett thinks that the Browns don't have a chance to win a Super Bowl means that they are indeed rebuilding. That means that we should also link the possibility of Joel Bitonio to the 49ers, since Bitonio could be somebody who's available. So everybody's going to be talking about Myles Garrett. They should be talking about Myles Garrett. 49ers have a history of edge rusher trades. You can start with the 1981 season when the 49ers traded for Fred Dean with the San Diego Chargers. That helped push the 49ers over the top to deliver their first Super Bowl trophy. Then you could fast forward to the worst part of this equation, and that's Charles Haley. San Francisco traded him away to the Dallas Cowboys in 1992, and that obviously led to a lot of pain for the 49ers as Dallas won the next 2 Super Bowls. So edge rushing is a spot that is probably second in impact to the QB position. Quarterback obviously remains the most important, and as long as the rules are set up the way that they are in the NFL, it's going to be the most important position. But the edge rusher spot is so damn impactful because it can directly counteract what quarterbacks might do. And the 49ers franchise history has 2 very prominent examples of edge rusher trades that have significantly changed their fortunes. And I think that we can look at a potential trade for Myles Garrett and categorize it in the same bucket. He's the type of player that might command 2 first-round picks, kind of like Khalil Mack commanded 2 first-round picks in 2018. And guess what? Back then, the 49ers were willing to pay 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack. Unfortunately, Mark Davis said, no, I don't want to trade with the 49ers. So he sent Mack from the Raiders to Chicago instead. In this case, San Francisco will not be dealing with the Raiders. They're dealing with the Cleveland Browns, and they might be competing with a team like the Rams, who have Matthew Stafford in the swan song of his career. They've got a young defensive line. They're trying to build up that young defensive line, bring in a veteran mentor like a Matthew Stafford. Maybe that's a good chance for the Los Angeles Rams to make one final Super Bowl push with Matthew Stafford. It's all something to consider, and an arms race within the NFC West is all something to consider for the 49ers as well. But do not only focus on Myles Garrett. Focus on Joel Bitonio. Focus on the fact that the Browns have such severe salary cap issues, which are compounded by the fact that they're not really contenders due to the Deshaun Watson contract and implosion. They've got such serious issues that they have these contracts that look a lot like Christian McCaffrey's when the 49ers traded for Christian. Very low base salary because of a restructure, makes it cheap on the cap for an acquiring team. And then you have to decide, is it going to be worth the draft capital that it's going to take? And I don't know how much draft capital it will take for somebody like Myles Garrett if the Browns do budge and move off of him. But it's something that the 49ers have to consider, especially after spending so damn much on Christian McCaffrey and seeing it pay off. Talent trumps all in the National Football League. That's the lesson that we need to take closest to heart. And there's no way that you can know for sure that the number 11 overall pick for the 49ers is going to be a good player. But you do know that Myles Garrett, age 29, is a future Hall of Famer. You do know that Joel Bitonio, even at 33, would upgrade your offensive line. So if the Browns are willing to do business, you have to see if the cost-benefit analysis works in your favor if you are the San Francisco 49ers. It is as simple as that. The price is manageable. Those are the facts. Don't let anybody else give you suppositions. The numbers are cold, hard, and true. $6.3 million for Myles Garrett, a lot less for Joel Bitonio. Both players would improve the 49ers. Now it's a matter of waiting to see if the Browns are indeed willing to trade after the ground-shaking news from Myles Garrett this morning.